Engelgeist. For those of you that are new, welcome. For those of you that are returning, welcome back. And for those of you that support me over on Patreon, thank you so very much. This is the 2021 Yearly Predictive Tarotscope for the sign of Scorpio. So if you have Scorpio sun, moon, or rising, you might want to watch this video. If you have heavily placed planets in the sign of Scorpio, so that would be 3 or more planets, you may want to watch this video. It might give you insight into what sort of a year you might be having. This is a broad spectrum reading, so it's intended for quite a few people. So some of it may match, some of it may not. You know, there's a lot of flexibility with the reading. Also, there's a lot of room for variables because I'm using only one card for each month of the 12 months of next year. It kind of, you know, is going to be rather sort of broad scope overall view of the energy. And for each individual Scorpio, it may transpire around different situations, people, or in pertaining to like sort of different subjects or goals, that sort of thing. So keeping that in mind, take what you need and leave the rest. If nothing matches up or doesn't sound right or sounds like the path that you're on, that's completely fine. You could be working on something completely different. Your other signs, your other planets or houses that they're in could be having a greater effect. So don't worry about that. And if you do decide to utilize the video, you watch it, and you decide to make decisions in your personal life in regards to what you've seen in the video, please know that those decisions are your responsibility. Always trust your own intelligence and intuition first and foremost, and never replace anything that a professional in their field may say to you as far as suggestions or advice or guidance. Don't replace it with anything that I say, right? So always listen to doctors, lawyers, therapists, that sort of thing first and foremost. What else should I say? Oh, and as we get further out into the year, like when we're looking at the later months in the year, there's a lot more room for things to change between now and then. So this is sort of a snapshot of as it stands right now and where things are sort of headed. That's why I kind of keep them broad, so they're not too strictly defined. We're not sort of looking for very specific things, if that makes sense. So there's always flexibility, there's free will, there's choice. So nothing that I say is set in stone. But if it's all hopeful and sounds good and something that you desire or want, be aware that that is available to you. The possibility is out there, and you can certainly head straight towards it if you choose to do so. All right, so let's get into this. What's this Scorpio sun, moon, or rising need to know for 2021? For those of you that might watch this new to me, I do a monthly for each of the signs also. So those will further define these months a little bit more deeper. We can also see where those changes have maybe been taking place as we head through the year. And there's also a daily forecast on the YouTube channel. You can always utilize that. That's not sign specific. That's just for the greater collective of everyone kind of thing. All right, so let's see. Okay, now the first card is for the month of January, right? Yeah. Jesus, I probably shouldn't do this at 9 o'clock at night. All right, so we have the Queen of Swords. I like this. Let me hold it up so you can see it. I like this. She's in a field. She definitely feels at peace to me. Swords represents the element of air, which is not necessarily either your home element, which would be water, or the complementary element of earth. It is sort of the opposite element in a way. It's not conflicting by any means. If anything, this is about, it is queen energy. So when it's a queen, that's about cups. When it's swords, that's about air. So predominant nature of this card is air, but it's the queen. So it's the most nurturing or watery or emotive of the court cards, right? So that is good, and that bodes sort of well for Scorpio, in my opinion. When I like this, why I like this, the queens are sort of nurturing. I feel like this is about making some emotionally, no, not emotionally centered, but how do I want to say this? This is about making some decisions, some clear-cut decisions for the future early on in the year, some plans maybe that require you to be emotionally in alignment with them, right? Which would make sense because you guys are Scorpio, so you want to sort of always let that not necessarily lead, but be a major factor. And when we have the queen here, we're letting our intellect and our knowledge lead through the month of January, our smarts. We might be outwitting somebody, outthinking somebody, or some situation trying to, manipulate isn't the right word, but you know, like find, how do I want to say this? Like, I feel like she's almost scheming in a way, Scorpio, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but she's trying to figure out a solution, some sort of solution to maybe a problem or a desire. I don't know if you guys can see that in the card, but that's sort of what I'm feeling from this cat. It's like in the early part of the year, Scorpio is really looking to, all right, what feels right about how we solve this issue or this, how do we like move ourselves ahead further into the year? I also feel like her eyes are on the horizon. So it feels like we're looking towards the future. We are trying to, manipulate is not the right word, but it keeps like it's the word that keeps like popping up in my head. We're trying to kind of like bend the rules in a way, but that's more Queen of Wands energy. But I feel like this is smarter. This is like outsmarting, outplaying, being cunning a little bit, but all in a good way, right? I don't want you to think that you're being like treacherous or anything like that. It's not that sort of a vibe. It's more like being really on the top of our game mentally and feeling that too, like going through our processes and feeling that. Is that a small owl down there? See, there's like a little owl down in the corner too. That's also wisdom or knowledge, which also indicates that this is about intellect, being smart. There's also a lot of butterflies in front of her, which would be transformation to me. There's a big sense of peace here too. So I would say that January, once we get through the holidays and we get into the new year, I do feel like Scorpio can relax a little bit. They can think things through. They can plan for the future, maybe taking all of January to think, okay, where do I want to be in the next few months? And how am I going to go about getting there? And what stands in my way? And if this stands in my way, how do I work my way around it? And that's what I mean by the outsmart, or by being cunning, being maybe a little bit manipulating situations in our favor, not at the detriment of others. I don't get that feeling. I get more of being just so smart about it. You're able to move your way forward and see the path rather clearly and feel it too, which is important for you guys. Now, the next card is for February. I love it. So we have the World. I'm going to need to run and grab my water. One moment. Sorry, I just brushed my teeth because I ate dinner and my mouth is all dry. 1 second. Thank you. All right, so the World is your card. Let me just see this really quick because I believe, yeah, the World is also Scorpio energy, is it not? It is. So the World is all about sort of everything kind of coming, it's about endings and new beginnings. And I kind of feel like with this Queen of Swords energy, we're planning for those new beginnings in January. The endings begin to come in February. Things come to an end, things wrap up, and we start to maybe move towards whatever it was that we were planning for in January, whatever it was that we were looking at. And I kind of get a feeling this Queen of Swords, she knows what she wants. I almost get a feeling that some of my Scorpios have been contemplating this prior to January, right? So like, let's say late 2020, maybe we got fed up in the last 6 months with something that's not working for us. And we've started to maybe think about, okay, now is the time to change this, whatever that may be. You have to like figure out what that is for yourself personally. But whatever that is, you have now made the decision in January to actually really legitimately start to plan for the beginning of the transformation of that. Being smart, being like calm, checking your emotions, moving yourself forward, if that makes sense. Because I also love these seagulls that are up here, which is like this sort of higher intellectual perspective that feels like we're looking at things from a more like detached point of view. We're not necessarily letting our emotions lead, although they're present in the Queen aspect of this card. We're leading with our intellect, with what we know is right for us or the best thing for us. And we're moving towards something that feels right for the next chapter, so to speak. Now, the World speaks to February opening up through things closing, right? Where Some doors are closing, others are beginning to open. There's opportunities for all sorts of growth and learning. There's opportunities for all sorts of sort of reward. We have all of these victory wreaths wrapped around these two cats. We have all of the sort of different elements of, I think the 4 elements are around us in this card. That's the significance of this card, that we have the 4 directions and all of that kind of at work for us. Everything's sort of lining up. Our universe wants to line up and give us whatever we need so that we can shut down, close down, and begin new, whatever the next things are for us. There's usually big gifts with the world, is my feeling, and there's big opportunities that can come out of this sort of this card. But I think that this card feels like, or this month feels like, it's more about what ends and then what we're heading towards, and the importance of that. Does that make sense? This is also major arcana, so this will be, February will be a big month as things shift and change. And I don't feel like they're, how do I want to say this? Like, they're not shifting and changing in the sense of, like, say, a tower moment, or something that's outside of our control, something that we don't want to let go of. To me, the world is a very clean feeling, like, okay, this is over, now we get to start new again. We're done with that. We don't have to deal with that anymore. And we kind of can release it with grace and ease. The next card is the 6 of Swords. So again, we're back to this Swords energy, but the 6 of Swords is always this nice card of, like, sort of moving on to new shores, calmer waters, easier situations. And I think some of that is indicative of this World card, where whatever has closed up for us in February, and they might be significant things for some of the Scorpios. It could be, you know, a job that we've had for a long time, or maybe we found a new job somewhere that we're more in line with, or that we're more excited about. So we're leaving somewhere that maybe we've been at for a long time, or a relationship we're departing from, or a friendship. It can be a multitude of different things, but whatever it is, it's significant. We'll have a rather large impact, but not in a negative way. I feel like it's more about, there's an excitement there about what we put in its place, or what the new thing that kind of fills that space in our life. The 6 of Swords is about moving towards that goal, right? Or beginning to sort of, I don't want to say, like, fine tune, smooth out, get used to the new surroundings we might find ourselves in, the new, you know, if it's a relationship that's shifting and changing for us, it's significant in February. March would be about sort of getting used to maybe not having that relationship around, and allowing ourselves to get kind of used to being either back on our own or without that person, say, in our life. Or if it's a new job for some of you, then it would be about learning the ropes at said office and feeling comfortable, taking the month of March to kind of get to those calmer shores, get to that balance, feel like in alignment again mentally with the environment that you're in as it exists now. But all of this, I will say, all 3 of these cards feel very much like the change is self-induced. I really get this sense that the World card, even though it's closings and new beginnings, or endings and new beginnings, I feel like Scorpio wants this, even if you might have to, like, sort of depart from things that are familiar or that we've had for a while. I kind of feel like with that sense of the Queen there, I feel like the Queen of Swords in the January spot, it feels like, oh, hi. It feels like we have known that this needed to change for some time. So these 3 months, even though they kind of feel like transitional and there's movement and there's shift happening, it's anticipated shift, it's planned for shift, it's whatever kind of you've been. I just want to, like, I feel like there's something in 2020 that we've not been okay with, and we're moving. And it's interesting too, because this cat here very much looks like this cat that's in the wheelbarrow going across the bridge, across the water. Usually this depiction is a boat, but to me, this cat is just being moved to some new shore, to some new opportunity. And that new opportunity is sort of, we see that beginning in February in the world. All right, so the next card is for April. So this is the Hierophant, and this is, I believe, is it Virgo? Let me just double check that. I'm pretty sure it is Virgo, but let me make sure before I tell you lies. And to me, this is a very grounded, smart, intelligent card. Give me 1 minute. I think it is. Let me find it. Come on. It's card number 5, right? It is card number 5. Oh, it's associated with both Taurus and Aries. Okay. So, but the Taurian energy, I feel like, is what's grounded. The Hierophant represents sort of institutions, higher learning, things of that nature. It's also about doing things by societal norms, right? So I feel like whatever we're learning, whatever smooth edges we're smoothing out in the month of March with the 6 of Swords energy, you know, like say that example that I had about, like, say we're starting a new job. We're departing a job that we've had for a long time. We're leaving. We put in our 2 weeks notice, or we're being, you know, laid off, whatever this might be, whether it's self-induced or just being given to us. It's opening up a new door for something new. March is about moving to this new job. And I'm just using this as an example, right? But we're learning the ropes. We're getting used to being back at this in a new office with new coworkers, all of that. By April, we're kind of an authority, Scorpio. We're kind of understanding the rules, the regulations. We know our place. We're actually in our place, in a place of probably a little bit of power, a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of leadership. So if if this is a new job, April looks really good for you. It looks like you're in a position of, like I said, authority or leadership. You're able to speak from an authenticity, from a higher knowledge. That's good. If this is sort of relationship related, right, I would say that April would be the month that you kind of feel established again, grounded again. Like, say some of you are departing a relationship, or that's the change that takes place here in February, and March is about the resettling of that. April is about feeling self-assured again, grounded again. The Hierophant can sometimes signify marriage or unions in that way. Anything sort of societally structured in a way, in institutions. I don't necessarily feel like there's any sort of major love stuff going on in these first months. So if anything, if this is like a departure from a relationship, I could see that in these cards. But it looks like April's the month where we feel like we're back established in a place where we feel comfortable, if that makes the most sense. We have a good working knowledge of what's expected of us, what we need to do to maintain the status quo, any sort of adjustments or growing that we've had to do in the previous months. We've come into our own, so to speak, with this Hierophant energy. And we're very, I feel like this is an empowered, good month also for us. I don't even feel like any of these are bad months, to be honest. I feel like the first 3 are just about transition for us, for Scorpios. All right, let's get into May. All right, so May is the 4 of Swords. Lots of Swords energy for you guys so far. I will say that, so there's a little bit of mind fuckery going on. And I don't mean fuckery, but you know, the Swords energy is about the mental realm, right? It's that air element. And so it can be a little bit tricky as we're moving through it. And Scorpio also has to deal with all of the emotions that we've got going on underneath the surface. So when I see this 4 of Swords is always about taking rest, going inward. It's kind of like the Hermit on, I consider it like the Hermit Light card, where we may need to take a rest. So from this first 4 months of whatever shifts and changes are taking place and whatever adjustments we're making, this is the time to maybe rest. This would be a time to kind of renew, recharge. Things are good. I would say that. The Hierophant energy kind of also, I get a feeling, carries over into this 4 of Swords. We're not losing anything by taking this rest, by honoring ourselves and recharging, by refreshing our brain, allowing ourselves that moment to sort of inhale again, because we have the power of that Hierophant from the month before, where I feel like we've arrived in some way, or we've established ourselves at our next sort of plateau of feeling safe or secure, right? So we can then take May to go inward and just rest and give ourselves that moment where we're outside of the drama, outside of anybody's bullshit, outside of other people's opinions, not dealing with, you know, any of that stuff that maybe we've been dealing with, I want to say back in 2020. is my feeling. And so it looks like the first 3 months of this year are really about moving ourselves away from whatever that might be for ourselves and getting to a place where we're feeling good, established, and secure, and then we can kind of rest and rejuvenate. So after that, we have June. So June is the Two of Cups. This is like a water element card. This would be sort of in line with Scorpio energy, definitely. Twos always represent unions deepening in my mind. When I think about that, that could be a union with somebody else. That could also be a union with ourselves, right? Like say we're connecting more deeply to our emotional aspect of ourself or our higher self. Maybe we're, appreciating ourselves in a different way. And I kind of feel like this could be that. I also am hearing or like sort of sensing that for some of you, this is about a relationship with a boss. And I don't mean romantic. I just mean there's a bonding that's happening here with a boss. And that might just be for one specific person. But the majority view, what I think is going on here is the Four of Swords is about rest and rejuvenation. The Two of Cups is about sort of that appreciation for that time spent where we rested, where we rejuvenated, where we took that time to go inward. There's an appreciation and a deepening of our sense of self and our own value, and we're able to appreciate that and give that to ourselves. For those of you that might be in an existing relationship, May would be a really good month to sort of give time and attention to said relationship. We also have been kind of rejuvenated by, June. May will have rejuvenated us with this rest that we see in the Four of Swords and the self-assuredness of the Hierophant, right? So those of you that are on, say, maybe a committed thing, I would think about, excuse me, I would think about April and June as being months where you might want to honor that connection that might already exist in your life that you maybe haven't been able to pay attention to because you've been planning for other things through like the Queen of Swords energy, the World, the Six of Swords, that sort of thing. And then in May, where you're taking care of yourself with that Four of Swords energy, maybe you haven't really had a whole lot of time to give to your significant other. So June would be that time in this Two of Cups energy. It would be a really optimum time to honor that connection. And this connection goes a little bit deeper than, say, the norm, right? So what I mean by that is if this is, I don't know why I'm on this job kick for you guys, but if this is about a job for some of you, I feel like this is about a boss and you really vibing. It's not necessarily romantic in any way, but I feel like you guys feel like linked or you get one another. It's that kind of a vibe. So look for relationships where you can, let's say, capitalize on this Two of Cups energy, because this is the month where it's going to be most prominent and we can sort of cash in on it in whatever relationships we find ourselves in. Look for the relationships where we get the most reward out of and what's the word? Like focus on that, right? To make it bigger and better. All right, so the next card is July. Sorry, my throat, I don't know, like I shouldn't have brushed my teeth before doing this. All right, so we have the Three of Pentacles, correct? Oh no, this is the Three of Cups. So we're still in that Cups energy, beautiful. Still water, still Scorpio, familiar, like kind of comfortable energy. Three of Cups again is about sort of coming together, celebration, appreciation, reunions, being around one's, it could represent as family or friends. But to me, it's definitely about feeling that vibe and that connection. The Two of Cups is a little bit more, it tends to be a little bit more serious, a little bit more deep, and a little bit more romantic. But I kind of get the vibe that for some of you, this is about a relationship maybe sort of at work with a boss that really appreciates you and really feeling that validation. And that's going to be kind of key and important for whoever I'm speaking to. But the Three of Cups is about sort of staying in that vibe of appreciation of others, really kind of caring for others and getting that, not only putting that out into the world, but also getting that back, that appreciation comes back to you. And I think that some of that has to do with the rest that you take in April. No, sorry, in May. I'm off on my months because I can't count. That Four of Swords energy, that month where we recharge really sets us up for these next 2 months where we see all of this Cups energy, where we're feeling full, we're feeling abundant, we're feeling pleasurable, happy, gratitude, all of that sort of stuff for the relationships that we have in our life. We're feeling connected and And that empowers Scorpio as much as you guys don't want to admit it. All right. Oh God. And then here is August. And of course, August, let's get into some of that fire energy, right? In like a nice fiery month, Leo season. But it is the Five of Wands. Five of Wands. So all of this wonderful like feeling that we have here kind of goes sideways. Come August, we might be a little bit over people in their opinions. There could be a little bit of competition going on, friendly competition at that, but it's more annoying than anything. Fives represent change and shifting. Wands is the element of fire, action, that sort of thing, and also the element of spirit. But when I look at these cards, these cats on the card, they look like they're sparring, and it's a little bit of a clusterfuck. So if you find yourself in, I don't want to call it conflict, but it does feel like it's a little bit annoying to me. Let me see. If we find ourselves dealing with, like, say, an annoying coworker or somebody's behavior that's just like driving us a little bit crazy, don't be surprised. This would be the time this card would represent that. It's kind of like attitudes, maybe fighting, things where things aren't maybe moving so smoothly for us, or certainly not as smoothly as the 2 months previous, or even the 3 months for, I would say, actually the entire year is not. Everything before that is fine. It's all about improvement is what it's looking like to me. It's all about sort of, the only thing that kind of feels a little bit, not off, but the month of May is where you guys need to take a rest, is my feeling, and kind of go inward, cut out other opinions, other people's outside information, that sort of a thing. So, but you're doing that for yourself. So I feel that's a positive. So when I'm looking at these cards, this is really your first bout in 2021 with outside frustrations, let's say. That's what I'll call it, because I kind of feel like this is the activity of others around you that's maybe pissing you off or annoying you, getting under your skin, that kind of a thing. I'm not exactly sure who the others are. It could be like, it would be people that you're around fairly regularly. Let's just say that. So that could be family members. That could be friends, that could be coworkers, but whatever it is, it's like sort of their opinions, their stuff could be bothersome to you. I don't feel like this is like a romance thing, in the sense that if it is somebody that you're involved with romantically and you're like listening to this and thinking, oh shit, am I gonna have problems with my partner? I don't get a feeling of that at all. It feels like more acquaintances, friends, family members, that kind of a thing where, yeah, you kind of care about them, but they're just working your nerve. They're working your puss, no pun intended. We've got, these cat cards going on here, but that's my feeling there. And so just be patient with this month, work your way through it, and kind of also as a reminder, just don't lose your cool in the sense that you've had thus far, like what I feel like, even though there's some transition happening and some change, it's all for the better. It's all for, or at least that's the story that these cards tell me, is that everything is about getting ourselves to some place better, in a state of more appreciation, in a state of more abundance. And we have it there through here in these 2 months, and then we sort of lose sight of it. And I think that also might be a little bit of where that frustration comes in. But what I want to say is try not to let that 5 get too much in the way. And then the next month, let's look at September, is the 9 of Wands. So we're still in that Wands energy. I will say this about the Wands, is that like Scorpio to me, as much as I love Scorpios, and I do love Scorpios, some of my greatest friends have been Scorpios, and I find them extremely attractive, and that's the water connection thing. But the very dynamic sign, I feel like. But I feel like you guys are the one sign that kind of tries to avoid being a water sign. Like you try and convince everybody that you're a fire sign, is my impression. That's kind of how I view Scorpio. And so it's sort of like you guys tend to be more opinionated and assertive I feel like, of the water signs, right? You're the most assertive of us. And so this Wands energy, to me, if there was the least familiar energy for the Scorpio, I feel like is the Swords energy, right? Wands to me, even though it's not complementary, or your natural water-based element, that fire and that assertion of the wands, right? That taking action does feel familiar or comfortable. Like Scorpio sort of aspires to that. I hope that makes sense to you guys. And so when I look at this 9 of Wands, to me, it sort of feels like we might be preparing ourselves, getting ready for some sort of a event that like I feel like he's building a fence to keep people out. like it's, I'm sorry, but I'm looking at the mayhem that's happening here in this month with these cats like sparring and fighting, right? And then this cat's just like my Scorpios are just like, fuck it, I'm putting up a fence and I have to deal with your ass. Like, so we might have to take action to kind of bring things to an end for ourselves in our own self-preservation so we don't have to deal with others' bullshit. That's sort of the feeling that I'm getting from these cards, these 2 cards in general. It's kind of funny to me because when I look at the 2 of Cups and the 3 of Cups, they totally look to me like this sort of, oh, moment where we're really appreciative of those around us and we want to embrace and spend time with people. And then like people get out of whack and out of hand over here in this month. And then you're like, fuck it. You're like, I'm putting that wall back up. I do not want to deal with this. It's like the vibe that I'm getting is just like, 2020 was too damn hard. I'm not going through this again with you all. Like, thank you for the last 6 to 8 months, but you know what? I am not doing this stupidity again. It's sort of the vibe that I'm getting from this 9 of Wands. So it's it's not like self-preservation in the sense of the 4 of Swords, but it is this idea of sort of preparing yourself to be in a state where you can kind of pick and choose your battles. You can deal with what you want and not deal with the rest. Does that make sense? And so I do like that aspect to it, and there is some strength to this card in this position. So if by September you're kind of a little bit over it and putting into place plans to, I don't want to say protect because that sounds like you're in danger, but you know what I'm saying? Like not protect yourself, but limit your, limit people's access to you. Let's say that. Maybe it's that kind of an energy where we're more selective about what we allow in and when we allow it in, kind of thing. We pick and choose our kind of battles, so to speak. Let's go to October, because this is also, I think we're getting into Scorpio season at this time, right? So we're back to that Cups. Scorpio, will you make up your fucking mind? All right, so if we've got the 6 of Cups, we're back to the Cups energy, right? 6 of Cups is always about sort of nurturing, loving, caring. There's always a woman depicted taking care of a child. I love that this is, we have this home hearth picture. It's very homey, and the focus is on that, the well-being, the growing flowers in the cup. All of this is about things sort of falling back into balance, things, Scorpio's back in their natural element. You're not necessarily feeling like you need to defend yourself. But I will say this, these cats in this kitchen sort of picture feel like Scorpio has maybe retreated to what's comfortable and familiar to them. That could be either, you know, our own home space, our own relationships that are our closest confidants. It's got that kind of a vibe where we go back to the things that are important to us, that feed us the most, and that sort of provide for us for the most, and we're able to and provide for us in an emotional connected sort of way. And in doing so, we kind of heal ourselves a little bit, is sort of the feeling that I get here. We're not necessarily dealing with the riffraff or the fray or the goofiness that I see in that 5 of Wands. The 9 of Wands to me in September doesn't even feel that goofy. It just feels more like you guys sort of standing up for yourself and maybe drawing some boundaries or lines in the sand and saying like, no, you can't do this right now. And then the 6 of Cups is about really going after the things that provide us, that nourish us, that connect us emotionally and make us feel better, right? All right, so the next card is for November. This is the 8 of Pentacles. Pentacles is earth energy, which is complementary to Scorpio, to the sign of Scorpio. when I look at this, this is always about sort of putting our own stamp on things through hard work, through attention to details, through really taking care of things. I like this at flowing in after the Six of Cups. I feel like we nourish ourselves on an emotional level in that Six of Cups space for that month. And then we get about doing work and staying grounded in said work. There's an appreciation or a self-awareness that's in the Eight of Pentacles that I feel like is really nice. It's paying attention to details and doing, like, taking all the steps to get us where we want to be. It's also, I kind of get a funny feeling when I'm looking at this Eight of Pentacles that this is the actual maybe physical action that needs to be taken for some of the plans that were made all the way back in January. So what I'm saying is that some of the changes that we have in the early part of the year aren't necessarily the only thing that happens for us. There's something else, some other longer term plan, I feel like, because I feel like that Queen of Swords also is connected to this Eight of Pentacles in some way. So it's sort of like we might have a couple plans in the fire in the middle of January. And some of those begin to sort of come to fruition in February and we work towards them. And then some we might find ourselves actually taking like realistic, actionable, grounded steps and working towards in small ways, in detail-oriented ways that help move us forward, right, in November. So, but I don't want you guys to think that, you know, whatever you're planning for, you have to wait till November. There's definite change and work happening in the previous months to November, but I also feel like something maybe that we set aside because of all of the changes that we see in the cards preceding this Eight of Pentacles, we're now ready to pick up that that path again, if that makes sense. All right, and then the last card is for December. Let's see where we're ending out. So we're in Six of Wands energy, again with that damn Wands energy, but that's okay. Six of Wands is about celebration. I feel like I kind of feel like whatever fence Scorpio put up over here, we're jumping over it and escaping into 2022. What is going on with this Wands energy? There's some serious avoidance of somebody or something. I don't know if it's a family member or a coworker. You guys will have to tell me in the mid-year. But there might be something that we find ourselves celebrating that we're free of, that we're away from, that we're working our way towards. That's also the Eight of Pentacles energy in the month previous. It allows us, to me, Six of Wands is a great card. It's an exciting, happy card. It's about feeling, you know, invigorated, ready to take action, feeling in line with our spirit, and also feeling celebratory. I do feel like this cat feels a little bit playful, but I also feel like he's running away a little bit from 2021. And the funny thing is when I look at these cards, I don't feel like it's a really bad year at all. I feel like it's actually a really good year. I just feel that that Five of Wands feels combative and annoying to me. And so, and I think that, I wonder if maybe 2020 has been such a hard year for my Scorpios that it's just kind of like you don't really want any drama whatsoever. So when it arrives, like in the doses that I see it in this year, it's kind of like, it's just, I just need a break is sort of the feeling that I get from these cards. It's like, I just want to appreciate things for what they are. I want to do good work. I want to be where I want to be and be appreciated for that. I don't want to deal with the sort of the fluff or the bullshit. That's the feeling that I'm getting in that Five of Wands month. And the Nine of Wands is kind of like Scorpio taking action. So those 2 months there, which would be August and September, those might be the months where we feel like the most taxed or annoyed. But I even feel like September is when Scorpio like takes action to do something to stop it, like to not allow it to happen. And then, you know, October, November, December are all months that are actually positive and good. It's about like connecting to ourselves emotionally, then physically, right? Like doing the work to move ourselves forward, and then celebrating maybe the end of the year and the end of 2021 and moving into 2022, maybe being free of some of the stuff that we see in that Five of Wands. So whatever that challenge may be for each and every one of you, I feel like taking the steps the following month in the Nine of Wands allows us to be free of it by the end of the year. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense, you guys. Again, take whatever you need and leave the rest. Back and watch the what for Scorpio each month as I pull cards for those months. And please share this video with any other Scorpios that think that might use it. If it's helped you, please leave me a question or comment. If you feel so inclined, please hit the thumbs up button or subscribe to the channel. And cross-platform, please, if you're watching on YouTube, go over to my Facebook business page and give me a follow there, and vice versa. If you're watching on Facebook, go over to my YouTube channel and give me a subscribe over there. If you're ever interested in a private reading, those are available to you. They would be far more specific to your individual situation and energy, but this is just, like I said, a broad overview for what is out there this coming year for for all of the Scorpios that may watch this. All right, thank you so much and have a great 2021. I will see you guys later. Take care. Bye-bye.